please?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Just wanted to say policymakers from political science actually runs other science.
Okay, I think we can start now. Yes, ma'am. Just let me know whenever you are ready.
I'm ready. I'm
Perfect.
always ready.
Cool. Good morning, everyone. Ma'am, thank you so much for coming today. So I won't take much time to introduce Ushy ma'am because it's like I need 3 pages to complete her story. It's not that easy. A person who walks the talk, a person who is a spiritual scientist with more than 20 plus degrees. She has double PhDs, MBBS. She fought against corruption in the doctors and so many things. So she's a spiritual scientist. So I use the word scientist because she's all about mind, and she's also professor at all the big business schools in India. So today we are so happy and grateful that she is here. I mean, it's not a big talk; it's only 20 minutes talk, but it's a wisdom that she will share what she gathered in many years. So please be attentive and listen to her. It's going to be amazing, ma'am. Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Jagdish, and a great morning to everyone who's out there and listening. I really, sometimes I wonder, whenever I have a lot of accomplishments, people say that, okay, she's done lots, but we're not in a position to talk about it. But when you've done one thing, I have seen a lot of people repeat that in 100 different ways so that everyone else feels really that, it's not too less. So I'm used to being dumbed down, and I'm very happy with it because we have very less time. I value your time, and I'm very grateful to Jagdish and, of course, Mr. Nimbalkar for having me over at this forum. Now, I teach a lot of business in business schools, and the first rule of the game is please smile, right? I've observed that entrepreneurs smile the least. I saw one or two of you smiling just before I started, and I think it's really, really important that we smile. Because if you want someone else to take your idea, if you want someone else to invest in you, if you want someone else to support your idea, and if you really want to even just want them to listen to your idea, I think the first thing is you need to have a very pleasant disposition. The human body is actually a huge, huge resource that's not really tapped. And if you look at linguistics, if you look at phonetics, if you look at the entire concept of the mind science, it clearly shows that when you like a person, you will accept the idea that the person presents. But if you really are not likable and you're not trustworthy, even $1 million idea can be rejected. And I think we need to keep this in our minds when we are actually going ahead with these 2-3 days that you're actually brainstorming, doing a lot of ideation, putting things down on paper. Because if your disposition and you're not likable, and people find that you're in some ways not really trustworthy and they doubt your intent, then ladies and gentlemen, it's very difficult for you to even present something that is running in your mind. So I call it the E-mind because it's the entrepreneurial mind. And my name is Dr. Ushy, like you already know. And I would love for all of us to just understand. Just give me a moment. This happens all the time, but there's nothing. Yes. And now I'll go ahead. Yes. What is an entrepreneur all about? In my 20, 30 years of having been friends, having taught, having learned from entrepreneurs, I would say that I presume all of us are going to help another person in some way. We call them customers, but at the end of the day, we are going to help them in some way. We are going to ease out a process in some way. We are also going to lend a service or maybe render a service which makes life simpler and easier, I presume. And that's one of the reasons why many people love being an entrepreneur, because you not only just work for yourself, you love to share something that you believe will add value. So the entire entrepreneurial mindset, ladies and gentlemen, is about adding value. And when you want to add value to somebody else, either their life or their mind or their money or their assets or anything that you think you're adding value to, you need to first add value to yourself. If I'm not able to add value to my own self, if I don't believe, and I believe that I'm not 100% sure that whatever I'm going to put in as a proposition is not going to add 100% value to whoever the provider is and the receiver is, then I believe that every single turn is going to be a severe challenge. So ladies and gentlemen, it's all about adding value. So how do you do that? Now, I have heard a lot of great ideas. I've also had a lot of business entrepreneurs come to me and tell me that I have an idea. It's 100% original. It's going to work out brilliantly. 1 year later, when I talk to them, and after all the deliberations, all the pitch, all the elevator pitch and everything, you have your investors, you have everyone else on board. When I ask them, how are you guys doing? They will look at me and say, not so well. They will also look at me and say, we shut it down. They will also look at me and say it was not viable. They will give me 100 reasons why it didn't work. But there is just that 10% out there who tell me 100 reasons why it will do better. So ladies and gentlemen, business will always test you. And if you see a business which is multi-million-dollar worth today, or you see yourself maybe 100 years from now, 10 years from now, 5 years from now, you will realize that there's going to be a lot of downfalls. Please don't think that entrepreneurship is only about success stories. What you hear most often is a success story. What you read most often is a success story. But it's not that it is all about success. It's mostly about failure. It's mostly about challenges. It's mostly about things that don't work. Sometimes you lose an account. Sometimes you lose an investor. Sometimes people are not ready to work with you. Sometimes people work with you, but they work away from you, which means you don't have your people in alignment. You might have inter and intrapersonal conflicts. So smaller issues accumulate into very large issues. And finally, they will chip away from your self-esteem. You start beginning to feel like a hopeless case. I worked with multinational corporates, investors, colleges, students, even the craziest of ideas where probably everyone else thought it wouldn't work. But the person with the idea, as well as people like us who mentor and back up, we thought it's going to work. Today, it's a great business. People are happy. They're doing exactly what they wished for maybe 5 years before or 10 years before. You call it incubation of ideas. When you don't incubate your idea well enough, you don't sit it through fertility, you don't sit it through the soil of the mind, and you don't sift out things that are weeded, then you will never be able to take your idea to any place. And if your idea is not really going any place, I think you are not going any place. You're just stuck in time. You're stuck in life. And in order for you to just undo all those challenges, in order for you to preempt something that might be coming, in order for all of us to be prepared, it's important that we run this 1,200 grams between our ears. And that's called the mind space. So when I say the e-mind, it means that entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs because they think differently. The entrepreneurial mindset, my dear friends, is about a certain way of thinking. And it's really nice because not many can think about being an entrepreneur. Now, it's all also about approaching challenges. Like I said, the path is not rosy. It's always about approaching challenges. It's always about falling flat on your face. It's also about making mistakes and not being afraid. There are many people who make mistakes, but I've observed that many of them are afraid. The difference between an ordinary mind and an e-mind is that you're ready to make mistakes, but you're not afraid. So it's all about the inherent need to improve yourself. For an entrepreneur who's successful, I have never seen them rest in peace. I've always seen them reinvent in peace. And I think this is something we've got to follow as a philosophy. I call it RIP, reinvent in peace, re-prepare in peace, and add to their skill set so that they can keep growing and re-empowering yourself, because what you started out with need not be the way forward. So very quickly, I'll take you through this. The idea of approaching problems from all sides is what I call the e-mind. And it's important for each one of you to spread this message to your friends or people who might be propositioning an idea of entrepreneurship. The idea always disseminates in your mind. What you do out there in the physical world is an idea taking shape. So when an idea is taking shape, maybe you need to work out on some things you will expect as a challenge. So it's important for you to visualize. You need to visualize. This is my mission. This is something I have in my mind. What do you think is going to be a problem? What do you think is going to be something easy for me to do? And that's why I say approach your idea from all sides. People make a mistake of linear approach. People do not make an approach through clusters. And I think approaching the idea through clusters, that is from all sides, we call it crabbing the idea. So if you can crab the idea from all sides, then I'm sure that you will be able to encounter any challenge or any difficulty without making too many mistakes. Ladies and gentlemen, much of the entrepreneurial life that you're going to have, and you might have had until now, is that of trial and error. And mistakes are a natural byproduct. So please don't be afraid of mistakes. Lesson number 1. 2, please ensure that during your journey, you preempt some things as a challenge and you approach the whole idea through clusters and not through a linear approach alone. Don't always look forward. It's also important to look sideways, because much of the challenges that people speak to me about is what they looked ahead, but they didn't look to their sides. It's always out there for you to understand. And being an entrepreneur is an opportunity today in particular, and from today, to start working out the muscles of your mind. So I would say that the mind is just like the rest of the body. You need to work out the muscles of your mind so that you can have your idea firmly implanted in an area from which you can take yourself forward, your values forward, make a difference, but never fall back when you meet up with a mistake. Everyone is a giant until I pinprick the mind. And 90% of the entrepreneurs give up. They lose hope. They fall back. They lose time. They lose money, all because they start believing that it's a challenge which cannot be overcome. If at all there is a challenge, one needs to be very realistic. We need to understand, can we control it? Can't we? There are multiple ways in which we do it. I'm not here to discuss the path because 20 minutes is too less. We do 2-day seminars, but I want you to understand it's all about building that mind muscle. Can you build the mind muscle? Of course, yes. And how do we do that? Very quickly. The ability to deal with stressful situations and pressures to the best of your ability, not my ability, your ability, no matter how hostile it is, no matter how horrible the environment is something which a smart entrepreneurial idea can handle. And I want all of you to remember this, because I know that all out there, every single individual with an idea is capable of handling challenges. Now, if there is someone who didn't, probably they were not doing some of the things I'm going to discuss today. And I think this is for takes. This entire PPT is yours. And you can figure out in which area you need to work harder, because all of us are different. Our thinking is different. Our ideas are unique. The only thing that you require is, please watch out for the soil in which you're embedding your ideas. You're already a creature of beliefs. You're already someone who's molded genetically. You're already someone who's a person who's very different. Even if there are a few of us in this room, each one of us is different. Agreed, we have a name that's different, but finally it's your thinking process that is going to take you to the level of an e-mind. So I call it mental muscle building activities. And this is the only thing that I wanted to leave you with today. Increase your self-discipline. It means that you need to work on something like mindfulness and meditation so that you will take yourself to the next level of you. Second, many of the failures in entrepreneurship is because you fail to calculate the risk. And if you really want to calculate inherent risks as well as risks in the external environment, maybe the smaller ones, the larger ones, the ones that can destroy you or maybe help you construct your idea to a better level, I believe you need that art of visualization. You also need that art of what I call a vision board. You need to write down at least once in a week, what do you think the risks are, the minor ones and the major ones? Now, what keeps you from taking a risk is fear. And fear is an inherent protector, but fear cannot be an inhibitor. If fear is going to be an inhibitor and you're going to play only in safe zones, believe me, my dear friends, you cannot go ahead as an entrepreneur. You will best be suited as an employee, and there's nothing wrong with that. You need an expanded mind. You need the gyri and the sulci in your brain to expand. Thereby, you have more space for your idea to keep working between your ears. It's called fiber optic transmissions. And when you don't have that kind of transmission, and you don't have that kind of synaptic activity which happens between your ears, you will become a very, very, very low risk taker. And low risk taking ideas are always mediocre. Very high risk taking ideas can work out, may not work out, but you need to have a plan B in place. Be aware of your emotions. Some people are too attached to your idea. Some people are too attached to success and failure. I think you need to have a very detached outlook towards your idea. You love your idea, but you need to love the process more than the idea. If you don't love the process a little more than the idea will not go through the process. And it's extremely important that you understand that. Deal with stress in a healthy way. Now, all stress is not bad stress. So stress is that little small ignition that you might get, like maybe a kick in your butt, sometimes a pat on your back. And when you get both of these, it can be dealt with in a beautiful, healthy way. You can use it as a springboard for you to jump forward, maybe for better or maybe for the change. I would not say for the worse. I've not seen anybody who's done well in their life jump for the worse. You either learn or you win. If by chance you don't get forward with your idea and you didn't get forward with your risk, there are 100 ways in which you can pull back and go around what you thought was an obstacle or a challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, delay gratification. Everyone who's an entrepreneur looks for a pat on your back right away. They look for benefits which they can get right away. And currently, the generation that is so tech-driven, that is so attached to devices more than people, you need to be really, really careful. Because I think if you're more attached to people than processes, you will delay gratification. If your idea needs to take shape, if your idea needs to build roots that are very deep, you must delay gratification at all levels, especially the generator of ideas. If it's one, all the more better. If it's 2, 3 of you, you need to figure out at what level will you delay your gratification, and when will you be happy when you're able to take back something from the idea that you so lovingly planted. Another area which is extremely important in being an entrepreneur, please look for a mentor. It's very, very important, because a mentor will see things in an unemotional manner. A mentor will see things in a dissociated manner. They will not be as attached to the idea as you are, because you generated the idea. So sometimes, like a teacher would be able to tell you some things about your child, which you will vehemently deny sometimes. I want you to remember that a mentor is there always for you to ask for help. And they will be impersonal. They will see things in a distanced manner, in a detached manner. Thereby, the clarity changes. And so each one of you who's out there planning a business or already having an idea which has taken shape, please ask for help. There's nothing which shows that you're either below somebody, and there's nothing which is going to take you to a level which you're not at already. The last one, strive for you to be better than you were yesterday. When I ask people, when was the last time you added something to your entire skill, repertoire? They will say, oh no, I'm very capable. Now, the moment something becomes difficult, I will go out there and do something about it. Now, that's not the right approach at all. That's definitely not the right approach. And that's why I say preparedness is really important. An unprepared entrepreneur has every right to be afraid. Fear is a driver for an unprepared entrepreneur. And when I say unprepared, it's extremely everything to do with your mind. It's nothing to do with the money. It's nothing to do with your physical structures. You might have a 5-star structure, but if you don't have blood running through your veins, your entire structure is useless. The motivation and the ignition comes from the energy, and energy comes in from the human mind. If there are 10 of us who are going to sit here and tell us and ourselves that this is going to work, even there are 100 people who come and tell me this is not going to work, will not matter to us. Ladies and gentlemen, the human mind is highly under the influence of other thought processes, others' thought processes. You must be very, very careful, because if you're not, you will end up in a stage where you will start reacting to every challenge that comes your way. You will start reacting to every negative person that's going to come your way and say things like, it's not going to work, it's not going to work. And finally, You will start reacting to your entire idea itself. I want you to remember, it's not at all what happens to you during your process, but it's how you react that really matters. I would ask you to respond. I would ask you to be prepared. I would ask you to please work out on your muscles of the, your entire musculature, which is between your ears, and it's called mind gymming. And that's how you end up having what I call an e-mind or an entrepreneurial mind. Because at the end of the day, remember, it's you and your idea that's going to add value and service to the entire lot of people who are going to benefit from it. See the bigger picture. Don't just look at it as something which is going to take you to a level where you're going to get something out of it. The people who are around you are going to get something out of it. Learn to push your idea as far as you can. And on the way, you will have different obstacles. Look at them as milestones. And if you look at them as milestones, every single entrepreneur will have about 10 to 20 milestones that they actually took rest at, which they observed themselves from, and then they've taken a pit stop. Sometimes you've got to slow down. Sometimes you've got to stop for a while. Sometimes you've got to reassess. But at the end of the day, at no cost will you stop that beautiful idea that's been taking you to the next level. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, I call it the e-mind. I've given you those methods by means of which you can work on that mind system of yours. And once you have those things in place, then you will be able to take yourself to the next level. This is my own quote. It says, for anyone piloting a startup, please spend time getting stronger where you feel you need to. Do not ever think that you can do everything yourself, because the mentally tough always go further in life. The mentally tough entrepreneur is the only one that can actually go further in their life. If not, you're stuck. If not, you will see everything as an obstacle. If not, you will not find a stumbling block. You will always find a wall that is in front of you, and you tend to give up. Many people I have seen have given up on an idea because they were countered with a challenge. They were countered with an obstacle. It's all a way of seeing things between your ears. Vision is always between your ears. You start by looking, but you end up by seeing. And I think an entrepreneur needs to see where the idea goes, where the entrepreneur goes with the idea, what is the process, what is the path that is going to be taken. And finally, mental toughness is absolutely essential when you want to go to your destination. So start with the end in mind, end with the end in mind, and of course, on your way, ensure that you keep gymming your mind. If you don't do that, every single small little tiny challenge that you see will take you away from your objective. And that's all it takes between you and success. If you have any questions, I'm actually open to that. Otherwise, I believe that it's a brilliant opportunity for me to share this. I would say that if you really want confusion to change to clarity, you want concern to change to confidence, and most important, capability is what all of us have. But if you want to become competent, the difference, ladies and gentlemen, lies in your mind. Remember, the mentally tough always go further in life. So the mentally tough are the only ones that will go further in your entrepreneurial journey. With these few words, I'm very grateful to the organizers. And I would say that if you have anything to ask me, I have about 2 or 3 minutes left. I would want you to ask me anything. Otherwise, I'm done, dusted. Dr. Ushy Mohandas, you can find me everywhere. Like I say, except on Pornhub. I'm yet to be there. So guys, just go for it and just please ask me some questions. I'm really, really happy that I could share. Thank you. I hope I made sense to everybody. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I mean, it's amazing. I feel like a lion is roaring and waking up others that you are also lions, Brilliant, ma'am. So, I mean, we don't have much time for questions, but Ushy ma'am is available on write2ushy@gmail.com. Her email address is very simple, write2ushy@gmail.com. She's on all social media channels. She's available there. She does a lot of workshops on healthcare, on empowerment, being resilient, stress management. So follow her. I mean, every week there is one or the other. So in the world, there are many institutions which want her to be on their board. So please follow her on social media channels. You'll get to know a lot of stuff what she does.
Jagdish, I'll just take a second.
Sure,
So
ma'am.
day after tomorrow on Tuesday, all of you are free to come by. I will just send you the link through Jagdish. I'm doing a 1-hour program on resilience at your workspace. And resilience, I'm doing it for the entrepreneurial cell of Indian Institute of Management, Bangalore. So IIMB is having this 1-hour session on resilience at your workspace. So I will be able to throw some more light on resilience. It's a free for all session. So pass it on to all your friends. I will send the login ID to Jagdish and he will be able to share it with all of us. And welcome, join me wherever you think it's comfortable. Reach out anything that I can. Please, yes, I would be able to throw light. And at the end of the day, I would just love to see how many of you, those of you who love me, please raise your hands. Okay, and those of you who don't, please raise your standards. It's very important. So have faith in what you do. Thank you so much. And I'll call it a day. Have a wonderful day ahead. And yes, Deepti, Jagdish, and of course, Manoj, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah.
Carry on.
Sure, ma'am. Thanks.